This reference design is for making an intelligent LED controller. It includes everything from schematics to assembly instructions and firmware to behavior control.
Rollout. We share hardware reference designs for robotics so you can make your own hardware.
Hi there, welcome to Rollout. My name is Jeremy, and today we're rolling out the E21 Neopixel Blaster. The Neopixel Blaster is great for controlling multiple intelligent LEDs. You can use one microcontroller output to control 8 channels. Control up to 80 LEDs per channel. Display 16 million different colors on each LED. There's also overvoltage protection, and it works on multiple platforms. Okay, let's hook up the Neopixel Blaster. First we'll need a JST cable, which has a JST PH 2.0mm pitch connector on there on one side, and the other side is a GVS 3-position DuPont. Let's hook it up to an EasyBuilder compatible board. This is the IoTiny from EasyRobot, and we're going to connect this to D0 here. So nothing really happens because we don't have a signal sent to it. So let's go and connect into EasyBuilder. Next we'll add a Neopixel control. So that's in the miscellaneous section, Neopixel controller. Make sure that's set up for D0 because that's where we're connected. Save that. And then we'll have to add an easy script. Next I'll show you how easy it is to control with an easy script. We'll go to the cheat sheet, Neopixel section, select that. That'll define the size of how many Neopixels we have connected on that channel. Hit enter. This is going to set the color. Hit enter again, and then we'll update. So we'll change this to port 0. Count will be 1 LED. So we're just going to light up the Neopixel Blaster LED that's on board. The index will be 0. And let's choose some random color here. Let's go 110, sure. 255. Let's go 20, let's say. Then we'll update port 0. Looks good. Save that. And then we'll hit start. There we go. The LED appears on the Neopixel Blaster as a greenish tint. Next, let's try out the other channels on the Neopixel Blaster using a blaster bit. So we have 8 channels. Let's connect to channel 1 and channel 4, let's say. Rearrange these so you can see them. Okay, let's go back to our code here. We're going to copy and paste this a couple times. So we'll change this to channel 1. And this to channel 4. So the index means which LED it is in the string of the channel. So since we only have 1 on each channel, it's the 0th one. We start at 0 and go up to 80. Let's change some of these values just so we get some different numbers here. Different colors, I should say. Yeah, seems good. Save that, and let's run it. There we go. So we have the Neopixels coming on there, showing the different colors. We can also daisy chain the Neopixels. So we can take this one, which is on channel 1, hook it up to here. Make sure our polarity is correct. All right. I think it's just getting a random color at the moment, so let's change this to 2 LEDs on that channel. Set the first one to this color. Let's change that. Let's put this to 100. Let's to 20. And then let's copy and paste that. Oops. We don't need that guy. Will be index 1. And let's change that to all red. Okay, save that and run it. There we go. We have all red on the Neopixel bit there, and kind of a pinkish on there. That's exactly what we set it up to do. On board the Neopixel Blaster, we have a PIC chip. It has custom firmware on it, a 5-volt regulator, and obviously the Neopixel LED on there, which is a WS2812B. So let's look at the schematic and see what this all looks like. In the schematic here, you'll see there's the 5-volt regulator, so it could regulate up to about 1 amp. You'll want to keep your voltage input lower so that it doesn't get as hot. The higher voltage you put into it, the more voltage it has to regulate, and the hotter it gets. Here's our PIC microcontroller with all the outputs, and those go to the 8 different channels that we can control Neopixels on. Here we have the Neopixel itself. And there's a few ports that aren't populated. That's a programming header. And this is just an extra breakout if you need to daisy chain off of D0. And this is the header that goes to D0 on the IoTiny at the moment. Here's the Neopixel Blaster bit schematic. We have a regulator on here. Just in case this gets plugged into something else, we just want to have a regulator on there for protection. We have our headers. And lastly, we have our Neopixel LED right here. Next, let's look at the Neopixel Blaster bill of materials. First, we have the PCB. Next, we have the PIC microcontroller, which is a PIC 16F1704. Next, we have the 5-volt regulator, which regulates the voltage up to 18 volts. We have a few capacitors there for smoothing. We have our resistor here. And then we have a bunch of these headers, which are for the different channels. And then they're broken up into 4 pins, 2 times 4 pins on there. Then we have the Neopixel LED, and lastly we have the JST PH header that connects to the JST cable. Here's a blaster bit bomb. It has the PCB, a different kind of voltage 5-volt regulator. It's just not as large because it doesn't have to regulate much, just the 1 LED. And it's there for protection in case it's plugged into a higher voltage. We have capacitors, then we have our addressable LED. And then lastly, also has a very same JST header. Moving on to the assembly instructions. Here we have the Neopixel Blaster. Make sure both of these are oriented correctly. Also note the orientation and the color of these headers. There's an extra header if you want to populate it. Doesn't have to populate it though. This version has a different connector right here, but it should be the GST connector. And here is the assembly for the Neopixel Blaster bit. Same thing, this connector is actually a GST one now. But make sure the LED is oriented correctly. And then solder what headers you want on there. And that's about it. So that was the rollout for E21 Neopixel Blaster and E22 Blaster bit. If you want to find the links to the GitHub and to the behavior controls on Synthiam, check out the description box below. And don't forget to subscribe to be notified for future rollout videos, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Thank you for watching Rollout. For more information, visit www.synthiam.com.